Hey everybody, Nick Redding here from Men's Rights Edmonton. We're going to have a presence at this year's Walk a Mile in Her Shoes event in Edmonton on September 23rd. We've been present at the 2012 and 2013 events, and this year is going to be something quite special. As usual, we will be peacefully and legally operating in a public space, and we'll definitely be utilizing our constitutionally guaranteed right to freedom of expression. I can't give away exactly what our plans are, but I can tell you this. Walk a Mile Edmonton will never be the same again. This is going to be a game changer. See, Walk a Mile in Her Shoes is an event where men raise funds for women's DV shelters by walking around Sir Winston Churchill Square in high heel shoes. Since they want as many men doing this as possible, they'll let pretty much any man participate in the event, making it incredibly easy to infiltrate. In fact, we've infiltrated feminist groups in the past, not just online either, in real life. Back in 2012, when groups started forming against us, Raz attended the first meeting of the Edmonton Men's Circle, which got our foot in the door in terms of hilarious private Facebook groups and events. When the Don't Be That Girl poster campaign hit, two private events on Facebook were started to report all of our legally placed posters and stickers to the police. In fact, Ashley I. Firel, aka Ashley Irene, actually suggested that Edmonton feminists report to the police that I was running for office during the patriarchy party stunt. Not only do feminists misrepresent every single one of our efforts as being some kind of violence or harassment, but a tactic that feminists have used in Toronto is to pretend to be MRAs and behave disorderly. We're going to need as many cameras on the scene as possible, which is why I'm putting out a couple of calls to action. If you've ever wanted to help out with Men's Rights Edmonton's efforts, now is your chance. If you live in or near Edmonton, I would really appreciate as many cameras being on the scene as possible. The more angles we record this from, the better equipped we'll be to counteract the lies that will inevitably be told about us. I also like to have footage of the speakers at the event, and again, the more cameras on that, the better. I don't want anybody showing up and disrupting the event or harassing the participants. I just want people to passively record the event for posterity and submit their footage to us afterwards. Second call is that if you're too far away to record the event, you can help us by spreading the message far and wide that Men's Rights Edmonton will be attending this year's Walk a Mile in Churchill Square on September 23rd. I want a lot of fanfare from the activated non-feminist sector. I want them to know that we're coming, and I want them to know that I want them to know. If you have a YouTube channel, please make a video about this announcement and link to this video. If you have a blog, do a blog entry about it. This is big news. I need your help getting this message out there. Now, for those of you wondering why I would take umbrage with an event to raise money for women's DV shelters, here's Karen Strawn to explain.
Hi, everybody. Back in 2012, I attended the Walk a Mile event with Nick, where we peacefully engaged in conversation with organizers and attendees, some of whom got quite testy with us, and handed out literature detailing non-feminist research on domestic violence. You know, the kind of research that not only asks men and women the same questions, but publishes all the results. We also collected the literature available through Walk a Mile, and we were shocked, I tell you, to discover that their research was substantially different in its conclusions from our own. You know, kind of like this paper that was submitted to a journal looked very different from this version that ended up being published by that journal. So very intriguing how by 1983 there were over 20 peer-reviewed studies showing that women are at least as violent as men in their relationships, and by the turn of the century that number had soared to over 160, many from good government sources. Yet somehow Walk a Mile never got the memo. And they're still promoting a model of domestic violence that cites patriarchal norms of male dominance and female subordination as a primary causal factor. And you know, the data on gender symmetry isn't isolated to our decadent Western cultures. In fact, some of the studies done in more patriarchal developing nations show higher rates of female perpetration relative to male than are found here in the modern West. Surveys done in such modern post-feminist nations as Namibia, Jordan, and the Philippines don't just demonstrate gender symmetry. Many of them show women as the predominant aggressor when it comes to dating and spousal violence. Now, while we here at Men's Rights Edmonton don't object to raising money to help women escape abusive relationships, we feel that the focus on patriarchy as a proximal cause of domestic violence and the male as perpetrator model only perpetuates the cycle of family violence. As I told a male organizer of the 2012 event, family violence is a cycle, a generational cycle, and children will learn that hitting is the way to resolve conflicts, no matter whether the person they see hitting is their father or their mother. Continued perpetuation of misinformation on spousal and family violence does nothing to end the cycle of family violence. And the bizarre belief that men wobbling around in high heels for charity does anything more than keep the onus on men as fully accountable for the problem, whether it's as perpetrators or as the people responsible for dealing with it, well, that's kind of a myth too. All it does is allow female perpetrators a free pass when they engage in violence to resolve a conflict or to control, punish, or coerce their partners. I was approached by a female organizer back in 2012 whose 13-year-old son was participating in the walk. I asked her if she'd ever considered that one day she might be required to walk a mile in his shoes. And she had no idea what I was talking about. She's an activist and a community organizer, and she'd never seen the data, never been exposed to actual unbiased data on domestic violence. If her son grows up to become a victim of partner abuse, there's really no knowing if she'd even be able to detect the signs, or if she'd believe him if he told her. This 50-year-long misinformation campaign needs to end now, and it's up to non-feminists like Nick, myself, and the rest of you guys to put a stop to it. You know, to be that precocious little boy in the crowd, willing to yell, "Hey, everybody, the Empress has no clothes on."
Oh, and one more thing you can do to help us. Please send a copy of this video to events@ywcaofedmonton.org. That's the email address provided on the Walk a Mile website. I really want them to get the message that we are coming to this event. Nick Redding, mensrightsedmonton.com.